Well, hey guys, so we're on the trail here, and we are just a few short days from the fall hiking season. My favorite time of the year to go hiking, and I know a lot of you guys like to get up there in Arkansas and Oklahoma and see all the killer fall colors on the Ouachita and Ozark Highlands Trail, and so I thought maybe I'd make a quick video of suggestions and tips for some of the things that I've learned from hiking those trails, and hopefully it'll help a couple of you guys out. So I'm just going to jump right into it. I got a lot of stuff to cover, so I'm going to try to run through it pretty rapid fire. So first things first, got to pick a trail. Which trail are we going to do? So we're talking about the O trail, so we're going to kind of focus on that, but this information will apply to just about any hike that's 150 to 250, probably 300 miles long. You could make this work. And so obviously step number one is we have to pick a trail, and there are many factors that may come into play when you decide which trail you're going to do, and some of those are going to include the time that you have to hike, how many miles per day can you hike, how far away from the trail do you live? How long is the trail? Are you going to need shuttles? Are you going to resupply? Are you going to cache on trail? Weather, that's a big one now. With the weather, I would suggest quickly that whenever you're planning your hike, maybe have a 3-day window that you could slide it back or the other way, so that way if bad weather rolls in, you could postpone the first few days and then start, or flip it the other way, start a couple days earlier if it looks like the end's going to be bad. Wouldn't be overly concerned about the end, because every time I've been out there the forecast changes after the first 4 or 5 days, so really let's look at about your first 5 days. And I have pushed a hike back because of that before. My original OHT was going to be October 27th, and I pushed it back to November 1st just for that reason. So that's one thing you may want to consider, a little flexibility in the dates. But if you don't have that, you got to take what you get. And probably the biggest factor for most of us will be the money. How much is it going to cost to do this trail? And if you own your gear and everything, then it's really not, the expenses aren't bad. You just have to get there and get home. And probably where your expenses will come in, if you have a large expense, will be in a shuttle, because they're generally a couple $100 if you're going to shuttle a long way. And I think my research on the Ozark, the shuttle, was around $325 or $350, so it can get pricey. So if you have someone that can help you stage your car or pick you up at the end or any of that, you definitely need to try to hit up somebody that you know or a friend and just try to talk them into it. Maybe pay them a little cash. But so once you've decided which trail you're going to do, you're probably going to want to do some research on the trail, and I would suggest to you that if you can get the Guthook app for whichever trail you're doing, that will be an incredibly valuable resource for you to do your research, because it's the trail you're doing. It's got all the info, all the stops, all the towns, every road crossing, and just all the water is marked on there. Whether it's there or not is, but you can see all the data in like a snapshot. And so that's incredibly valuable for planning purposes. Also, you can look at guidebooks. Every trail has an organization or association tied to it, and you can go to those websites and find a ton of information. You can usually download maps and just find out little details. And another good resource, of course, is Facebook groups, and I know there's a couple of those going on the Ouachita Trail and Ozark Highlands Trail. I'm not sure about the Ozark in Missouri, but there could be something out there. And those are good ways to research the trail, and the Facebook groups and Guthook would probably be my go-to. Mostly Guthook, because it's just a wealth of information on there. So if you want to do like a cache system on this trail where you don't leave the trail and go to town, I have made other videos on how I cache food on the trail, and I generally do about every 45 to 55 miles depending on which trail I'm doing, and that has been great for me because I don't have to leave the trail as much. My pack is lighter, I can leave my trash, and I can leave clean clothes. So I've had clean clothes every 40, 50 miles on every hike. I just leave all my dirty stuff and trash, and then I just pick it all up on the way out. And that works great for me. So if you want more info on that, I'll leave a link for that video. And before I go, I just want to go over a few real quick tips that might help you if you're planning on this, especially if you haven't done it before. And the first thing is, if you haven't done it before, then you should probably go do like an overnight hike, maybe a 2-nighter, and just get a feel for it. Test your gear out, set it up, tear it down, walk with it all day, make sure it's going to work for you and that everything feels good and that you'll be able to carry it for 10 to 14 days, or maybe you can hike fast, but just say 10 days. And so test your gear out, do a test hike. Another thing is let your friends and family know where you're going. Share your plans, make sure they know which trail you're doing. If you can get a signal, try to check in with somebody every night and let them know where you are. So just in case anything happens, they will have your last known location. And if that is a concern for you, then you may want to consider getting one of those spot devices or a personal locator beacon. And some of those are set up where you can just push a button and it'll automatically send a text to somebody that you have designated, like a family member, and it'll send your coordinates, and it'll have like a message like at camp, still alive, and it'll have your GPS coordinates. So again, in case anything were to happen, they would have your last known location. But these trails are easily marked, and if you have they're well marked and they're easy to follow. And if you have the gut hook, you almost, unless your phone goes out, you're going to be okay. So share your plans with somebody. Make a checklist might be helpful. If you're going on a longer hike, it's kind of more of a pain if you leave something behind, like your gloves or a pair of sunglasses or a lighter, or just, it's really the little things. I mean, you're going to remember your tent and your sleeping bag and those type of things, but the small things, like you might need some toenail clippers, just little items like that. So it's kind of a good idea to just make a checklist of things you think you're going to need and make sure you have them all with you before you get out there, and then you go, oh no, forgot my tent stakes or something crazy like that. So a checklist could be handy. A few things you might want to check on before you get there is, do I need a permit? And if you're in Arkansas or Missouri, the answer is no, you don't. Closures, you might want to check with the websites associated with these trails and make sure that there are no fires or maintenance going on and there's a part of the trail closed down and you won't know it until you get there, and that could throw a little wrench into your hike. You could probably get around it, but it's better to know up front what you're getting into. So check on closures. If you're going in November, make sure that you check and know which days hunting will be happening, because it's usually in November, usually the 10th through the 20 something. But if you're going in November, just make sure you take some orange with you, a vest, probably a hat. You've probably seen mine where I have a little orange hat on my umbrella so you can kind of see me moving through the woods. And so just be aware of that. Let's see what else. Dogs, if you're going to take your dog, again, all the trails that we're talking about are dog friendly, so no problems if you're going to be in Arkansas with that. And another thing is, if you haven't done this before, I did this on my first hike, and that is I overpacked, I mean big time. I'm embarrassed, in fact. I took so much stuff. And what I mainly overpacked with was food. I probably had, I could have lived 10 to 14 days probably on what I had, and it was just crazy. So just remember that you're not going to be as hungry as you think you're going to be. The first few days with all of the miles and exerting so much energy, you'll get to camp and you won't really want to eat as much as you think you're going to want to. So just kind of bear that in mind. I mean, I've always ended up with extra food. Every time I get to my cache, I have too much, or I leave something there, or I don't take some because I never eat it all. So just be aware of that. And probably my number one thing that I would really make sure that you have worked out is your footwear. Make sure that you have worn your shoes and you've walked multiple days in them, and that they are going to work for you, because man, you could sit here and go through all of this process that we're talking about and get everything planned, get up there, and within a day or two, if you have the wrong footwear, it's just going to destroy your hike, because your feet being all blistered up, it's no fun. You know, even if you love being out there, nobody wants to be miserable walking around on blisters. So really, I would say most importantly, make sure your footwear is good and it's going to get you through multiple days of hiking. And tied in with that, I would say, and I've been thinking about this as I've gotten older, since I started hiking, and I didn't do this at all when I first started, but now I've started taking a tiny little ball with me that I can roll on the bottom of my feet, the ball of my foot, and on my calves every night. So I've really been trying to focus more on taking care of my feet while I'm on the trail. And I know some people like to wear those compression sleeves on their calves, and I have tried them while I've been walking around. I haven't worn them on a hike, and I'm kind of on the fence about that. I really don't want to wear them unless I feel like I need to, but I know some people swear by them, so that may be something you'd want to consider as part of your footwear, even though it's on your calf. It just kind of helps with everything. But definitely get a little tennis ball or cork ball that you can rub on the pressure points of your feet every night. And I'm telling you, if you're an older person, probably 40 or older, you will thank me after the hike is over, because it will make a huge difference. I promise. The last time I did it, I recovered, amazingly fast. Within a few days I could have gone on another couple 100-mile hike, and that had never happened before. So those are just some quick tips, and I hope that some of this has helped you guys out. And like I said, I'm going to leave a link for you if you want to do the resupply cache system. I'll leave a link to that video you can check out. I got more info in that, so I don't have to go into all of it. And I also have a video on the O trails where I give a lot more info on each trail. So if you're planning on doing one of these, then maybe check that video out. You can get some more information out of that. And that's about all I got for you. I can't wait for this hiking season to get going. I haven't been on a hike all year since everything happened. I've just been waiting it out, sitting around all summer, just trying to earn a little extra money. And that's pretty much it, guys. So if you're doing one of these trails, I hope you have a great hike. And if you do, man, let me know. Let me know what you thought of the trails, because I always like to hear when people reach out to me, let me know, like, hey, I watched your video and I'm going to go do this trail. I always like to hear how your experience was. So let me know if you do one of these trails. And I guess with that, man, I'm going to get on out of here. So enjoy this fall hiking season, and I will see you somewhere on the trail soon. You guys take care, man.